Hey guys, welcome to Zombie Talk. Today we're here with Coach Brian, Marcel, and Rick Barry. Hey guys, how's it going?
Going
Going
good.
good.
All right, we got to start it off with a special shout out to Rick. The NBA 75 came out this past week, and how can we not mention it?
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you, but I just, the thing about it is, I mean, it's nice, obviously, but everybody that was on the top 50 was on the top 75. So it's not like it was some new honor that you're receiving, but it was certainly nice to be recognized.
some people slid. One thing I noticed, it wasn't ranked, but it was alphabetical. So you're ranked eighth, I think. They have you eighth on the list, top 75.
Don't even worry about any of that stuff. It's all freaking subjective and doesn't really make any difference. I've always been a big believer that if they're going to do it, they should be doing it through eras. Pick the top players in the eras when they're playing, because the game has changed. The game that we played back and when I started, playing in the late mid 60s and into the 70s, 80s, it's a different game today. It's a totally different game. And I think some guys have gotten a little bit of shortchanged on that. I mean, there's certainly some guys out there. I mean, for me, it's just hard to believe that Artis Gilmore is not going to be one of the top 75 players. I mean, Artis, I don't know how many people understand and realize just what a beast. I mean, I played against him when he was a rookie in the ABA. I had never seen a guy blocking guys' jumpers from the baseline. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they were calling goaltending all the time, but it wasn't goaltending. So I think he got paranoid about it. And he stopped doing it, but he was a beast. He was an absolute beast. He was a 2010 guy in college. I mean, and for him to not make it into the Basketball Hall of Fame on the first ballot and have to get put in on the ABA committee I think it was a disservice to him. I really do. But again, any of these things are all subjective. So it is what it is. My big thing is it's all about winning championships. It's not about individual honors. Who the hell cares if you get picked for this, you get picked for that? Did you win? That's what it's about.
And that's exactly it, Rick, like you said, I'm sure there's 75 guys in your era that, all were deserving as well, and obviously, like you said, the game is so different now. Even watching it this year, just some of the rules changes and how these guys are, just struggling to adjust kind of their games a little bit, with this, you're not seeing as many free throws, which I think is great. I think games should be won, playing the game of basketball and not sitting at the free throw line,
Well, you're going to get an
15,
argument
20.
for me on that one. You're going to get an argument for me on that one.
Yeah, no,
Because it's one of the most abused skills of the game of basketball. And so why you want to go and make it so that people who are lousy at one of the skills that is necessary to be a great basketball player, and you're not proficient at it, that you're going to help the guys out? I mean, I have a serious issue with that. I really, truly do. I mean, driving to the basket is a freaking skill. I mean, I made a living, running the two-man game, getting to the basket, trying to get fouled. I mean, and plus it's a way when you're playing for guys that are playing the game today. If you're struggling, go to the damn basket. Go get on the free throw line, make a couple of free throws, get your rhythm going again, and don't just rely on jacking up 3-point shots all the time. I mean, it's the old thing. You live and die with the 3-point shot. The Warriors are a perfect example of that. And that series against the Cavaliers when they lost Game 7 at home, they took everything was a 3-point shot in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I mean, it was insane. I mean, why in the world? And I love Steve Kerr. I mean, I think he's done a great job, but I would have called the timeout and said, hey, Steph, Clay, we're going to go to the basket. Let's get some points on the board. Let's make them play from behind. You know as well as I do.
Yep.
It's easy to take a 3-point shot. There was one 3-point shot made in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds or 40 seconds. And one of 2 free throws by LeBron James. But for Kyrie Irving to take that 3-point shot is easy when the score is tied. Because if you miss it, you're still tied.
Yeah.
But if you're down, 3 points or something and you miss that shot, the other team goes down and scores, all of a sudden you could be in serious trouble.
Yeah.
So, make the other team play from behind. Put more onus on them to have to score. So that's kind of the philosophy that I go by. I mean, it's a lot easier to play when the score is tied than it is to play from behind.
Yep. Absolutely.
As you said, different eras of basketball, you have to judge it in different ways. Even today, I was talking to Marcel. He was saying the ball. There's a new ball. The Wilson over to went from
Wilson.
Spalding to Wilson. Maybe this new era defines shooting and who's a better ball handler for how the feel of the game is. I mean, feel of the ball is. Dame Lillard was complaining about the FIBA basketballs and saying that they were spongy during USA basketball, and he wasn't used to it. It affected his dribbling, his shooting. He was gripping. He was like squeezing the ball on release because it was so spongy. And then this season, the Wilson. So it's a new era with fouls and the basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paul
but like
George was
anything
complaining.
else, yeah, you got to make adjustments.
Mhm.
I mean, like they say, the old cliche, you got to play the hand that you're dealt.
Mhm.
You get dealt a lousy hand, you got to learn how to play lousy hands sometimes. I
Mhm.
mean, you're sitting around and bitching about it and complaining about it. It's not doing you any good. Just make an adjustment and try to do what you can do. You want to talk about a bad ball? Oh my God, the original ABA ball was a piece of crap. I mean, that ball had sharp edges on it. It was slick as could be. I mean, it was horrible. But again, so what we would do is we get the balls and we'd work out and we'd play and try to get them worn down a little bit so that they wouldn't be as slippery and as ineffective as a regular ball. It was hard to handle it. It really was.
Can't imagine shooting it. The ABA had a 3-point line, right?
Yeah, that's the ABA was 3-point shooting. Yeah, exactly.
And then in your last season, the NBA finally adopted the 3-point line.
The NBA got it late. Yeah, late in my career, I got to play a couple of seasons with it and do it. But I again, if we took a shot like that, like Steph Curry takes there, I would have been on the bench so quick. I mean, no coach was going to let you take the kind of shots that he takes. But I mean, you live with it, and he's so good and so amazing, and it's impossible to guard him. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about kind of the business behind basketball. So there's always been this story of KD going to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and him kind of attaching himself to business things and investors and all that. When you went out to Golden State, did you see that? Did you try to attach yourself to Silicon Valley, or did you see any teammates that
There was no
started
real
to try
Silicon
to
Valley. There was no Silicon Valley when I
Well,
was playing.
some sort of that is true,
No, they didn't have that. It's such a long time ago. I mean,
right?
it's a different world.
Yeah, internet's like the late mid '80s.
Well, now guys are making kind of money that they make. Hell, they can invest in all kinds of opportunities. But we didn't have any of that. I just talked earlier today with somebody bringing it up and say, well, when you were working out and doing stuff, when are you working out? I said, we had nothing.
What
I had no strength coach. I had no agility coach. I had no dietitian.
What were some of the side hustles of your teammates? Maybe the guys at the 15th guy on the bench. Did they have to do anything?
We didn't
extra?
have 15 guys back in those days. We had 12. Come on, you got to get with that. I told you it's a different era.
I got to catch up, man. You're giving me lessons.
I know. I mean, 12 guys. That's
12.
12-man rosters. That's what it was. 12-man rosters, but still a great game when it's played the right way. I just love the way the Warriors are playing right now. I mean, that's the way I was taught how to play the game: pass, move, cut, play unselfishly. The more decisions you force the defense to make, the more the likelihood they're going to make a mistake. And if you have intelligent players, you'll capitalize on those mistakes and you'll take advantage of those and have a lot of easy opportunities.
And Rick, yeah, and Marcel, Marcel being on here today, Marcel's one of our co-captains. He actually couldn't make the last call. And that's kind of his role. He's kind of more of a guy I would describe as a guy that would probably play in your basketball. He's about 6'2", plays undersized for the most part. But he's one of those guys that he'll do all the little things. He's kind of like a Draymond Green type guy. He'll set screens, he'll pass the basketball, he'll rebound, he'll defend. So that's kind of the same thing. When Marcel is, who's on today with us. So,
well, you have to be willing to do what it is that's asked of you by your coach in order to help the team win. And sometimes that means sacrificing. And that's what your responsibility is. If you're playing and you're a member of the team, you have to assume the responsibilities placed upon you and go out and do that the best you can. So Marcel is, he's bringing his hard hat. I mean, that's what he does. He shows up plays hard every day. As a coach, you can't ask more than that from a player. That's what such great respect for players that always show up. Okay. Anytime I put my uniform on, you were getting the best that I had. And every player should be that way. There are guys sometimes that do take nights off. I never took a night off. Never. In fact, I hated it when we were blowing people out because I knew I wasn't going to get to play that much. So, yeah, you want to be on the court. If you love the game, you want to be playing. So, yeah. So it's going to be fun to see how you guys are doing. How are things going and progressing with the team right now?
It's good. We're still about 3.5 months out. So, just trying to get guys, get everybody kind of get the pieces together and then just get guys in the gym, get guys together. Unfortunately, obviously with the semi-pro, the minor league basketball, guys are other commitments, other responsibilities, families, so we're doing what we can, just getting the guys in and just trying to get them together as much as possible, trying to come out and put together, keep the championship kind of, pedigree in place, and fill some holes that we have, some spots that we have, I should say, not holes, just some open spots and some roster moves, for guys that had the opportunity to go overseas. And, we're just trying to do that now. And, Marcel's one of those guys that, he's been with us now for 4 going into season 5, actually. And he's been one of those guys that's been kind of a main staple for us and a big part of our foundation in organizational structure. So,
well, then that's great. You need to have that, obviously, and so then it's a matter of trying to find the other people to fill the spots and play the roles that are necessary in order to maintain that high level of efficiency.
Yeah, I feel like the culture is set with the roster. This season was more of a retool than a rebuild. I think we got the core guys and definitely the guys you want to build around, good attitudes and come to play every night.
Yeah, well, if somebody's showing up to play every night, I don't want them on my team.
Yeah.
Got to show up ready to play, and here's the thing, you're going to have some bad games depending upon, like in an 82 game NBA schedule, I was told by my college coach that you're going to probably have 8 to 10 games during the course of a season that you're going to struggle offensively and you're not on your game. And those are the times that you have to find a way to contribute to the success of the team. You can't just go out there and keep jacking up shots if you're missing them all. Well, if I'm not making my shots, let me get to the basket. Let me get to the free throw line. Let me play a little better defense. Let me go get some more rebounds. Let me get out on the fast break. Find something to do to be productive. Like I tell my youngest son now, I said, you just can't be a player who's just out there. Mm-hmm. You doing things. And that's the way you should be playing the game and studying the game and seeing what's available and taking advantage of the opportunities that are there. There's nothing like playing basketball from a total team concept. And that's why I say, I would love to have played with the Warriors during that 5-year run. I mean, I would have thrived playing with those guys. Yeah. I'd love to pass the ball. I would be able to create all kinds of opportunities. I would set Steph Curry up for so many freaking shots and Klay Thompson because I get to the basket, and if they didn't stop me, I'm going to go to the basket. But if they came to try to stop me, those guys are open. You don't think I'm going to throw the ball to Klay Thompson or Steph Curry for a pointer? Well, I'd be out of my mind.
Yeah. No, one of the things I heard, Coach, and I use it all the time. I've heard this for years. I tell guys on the court, at all levels, be productive on the court. Don't be busy. Like anybody could be busy and run up and down, and but being productive is what's important. Whether that's 3-minute stretches or whether that's 15-minute stretches of a game. If you're just busy where you're kind of just going through the motions, you're not really a guy that's going to help or fill that role that's necessary, or more importantly, make the team any better.
Well, what I relate it to is it's even more so than that. That's a good way to put it. But my thing is you have to be focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're not focused, you're a half a step late. And if you're a half a step late in basketball, you're toast. And the hardest thing I think for players to learn how to do is to remain focused when they're out there on the court. It's so easy to just wander off a little bit, lose your focus. And when you lose your focus, you're just not going to be as productive a player as you're talking about. That's what it really comes down to. And If I could figure out a way to have something that I could bottle and sell to keep guys focused in games, I'd be so rich, it'd be ridiculous, because most players have no idea how to do that.
Yeah. And that's the difference between 50-50 balls. Staying focused that split second, and that's half the game of basketball.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, here's the thing about basketball too, is that don't be in a rush. I mean, most players when they play, I watch when they do clinics and talk to people and watch guys playing and doing all the analyst work I did for years. You can't be in a rush when you're doing things. I always say be slow and deliberate until there's an opportunity to do something, and then it's quick. Okay. You need to get the defender to move. If the defender is moving, you're going to get him in a position that you're going to be able to take advantage of if you can recognize that situation when it occurs. But it's not going to happen if you try to do things too quickly. Guys sometimes make fakes and do stuff. They go so fast, the defender never even had a chance to react to what he was doing because he was doing it so fast. Basketball is not a very complicated game. And if you really are taught how to play the game the correct way, it's just something special and just so much fun and so rewarding.
Yeah, Mike, I do have a question for Rick. I wanted to ask him the first time. What is the experience like coaching in the Big Three?
Well, here's the thing. I only get to coach the players that the captain picks. I don't get to pick my players. I mean,
Oh, okay.
How'd you like to be a coach and your captain picks two co-captains, he chooses his players, and then you have to coach the people that they bring.
Okay. I didn't realize that, honestly. I knew there was the training camps, and I thought the coach had choice of the roster, actually.
No, actually, no. I have rarely had the opportunity to select the players that I wanted to have, and it makes it a little bit difficult, but it still was a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I had two really good players this year. I had
Barbosa,
Billy Meeks and Leandro Barbosa, who were still in great shape, and they're, well, Leandro's like towards his late 30s, but he's still in great shape. He's still the Brazilian blur. I mean, he's still so fast. And I'm going to tell you, Coach, he is one of the nicest young men I've ever met in my life. I have a picture that somebody had snapped after one of the games, and we had one that I went up to, and I had my head to his forehead, and somebody snapped the picture. It's one of my favorite pictures ever. And I had said to him, I says, Leandro, if I was coaching in the NBA today and I had 15 players with your attitude and the way you approach the game, I would think I died and went to heaven. Yeah. That's the quality person that he is. So it's just really special when you have people like that you can be associated with. But it's a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get to do it next year. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll make the most of whatever the situation is, and we'll see how it plays out. I thought we had a chance to do something this last year. We got off to a nice start finally, but we just didn't. We didn't get the job done. My bigs struggled a little bit, and hell, in one game you played at 25 at the half, 50 for the game. We lost 50-47, and my two guards had 40. We lost 50-47. My two guards had 45. So I got 2 points from my bigs. Kind of hard to win.
Got to get Scal going.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great. I really appreciate the opportunity that Cuba's given me. I really like him. He's a great guy, loves the game, and it's fun to be a part of it. And hopefully all this craziness with COVID, by the time we get back into it midway through next year, that it'll open up again, and we'll be able to have some of the fun that we had when we were traveling around the country, playing in a lot of different cities. And I love it because I get to see George Gervin. I get to see Gary Payton, Dr. J, guys that I played against that were contemporaries of mine, and to see them on a weekly basis, it's great. It really is great. It's kind of like old home week.
Yeah, you guys built the culture that got us to where it is today, to where Ice Cube wants to start his own league. And yeah, it blows my mind. It's so cool. I love to see guys like Steven Jackson and Joe Johnson and stuff get a platform after the NBA because they still have game.
Yeah,
yeah, well, you see, hey, the same thing is, if you love something, I mean, it's hard to give up something that you love.
Hey, Rick, I don't mean to interrupt you. We lost you on the camera.
Oh, okay. I see. It was hard. It was hard for me to retire because I loved playing so much. Very difficult that I couldn't play, continue to play the game. I had, I had an operation, and my knee, they found calcium in there that was a huge piece of calcium, like a silver dollar size, and wedged in my joint. And when the doctor said, "Rick, I don't know how you played with this in there," and so I told him I don't, I never knew it was in there, and so, but I never got to play again, mainly because the rosters were cut in the NBA from 12 players to 11. I was going to play with the Boston Celtics. And so they cut the rosters, and so it wasn't meant to be, but it would have been fun. I would have loved to have had that and played with Bird and McHale and those guys. That would have been kind of cool. So many guys did that, played with the Celtics over the years. I mean, just look down the list of guys: Bill Walton, whose birthday is today. I got to call him after we're done here. And then Scotty Wedman, Tiny Archibald. I mean, just so many guys wound up finishing up their careers, playing with the Celtics. And I would have loved to have had that opportunity, but hey, everything in life happens for a reason. And like you say, you play the cards that you dealt, and if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be.
Yeah, Golden State though is just such a key part of your story, and at least you got to stay there and ride it out as long as possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, unfortunately, I wound up leaving to go to the Rockets, which basically ended short in my career, which was unfortunate, and it was crazy because it was over $10,000. I mean, I couldn't believe that the general manager at the time, Scotty Sturman, said, "Rick, I can't believe that you're going to blow this deal over $10,000." And I said, "I think you got it backwards." He said, "I can't believe that you're willing to let me go over $10,000."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my stuff. So what about, I'm hearing this thing about ownership on the Suns. You don't gotta speak on it too much, but how do you feel about ownership? Do you feel like they're kind of out of touch with what the actual feel of the league is sometimes?
I have no idea. I don't get involved in that kind of stuff. It's like, I don't get involved with that. Don't want to get involved with politics. It is. And the people involved are going to have to deal with it. It's not something that I really want to talk about because I don't know what took place. And for me to
Oh yeah, no, I don't want you talking about the Suns at all. I was just talking about more of when you went from Golden State to the Rockets. Was ownership different? Were you really personable with ownership with the Warriors, and Rockets were completely out of it, or did you have a good relationship with ownership? The way kind of Marcel would have a relationship with Bill, who owns the Zombies, and how Coach Brian and everything were very personable and like to treat this team like a family. Where did the Rockets welcome you in or anything like that?
I always had great relationships with the owners of teams. Thing about it is the owner knew that I was going to show up every night.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they just forgot 3 zeros on my contracts. That's all.
I hear you. Well, Marcel or Coach Brian, do you have any questions for Rick before we close out?
No, that was good. Marcel, do you have anything for him? Any advice you need from him?
Would you say going into the season, what's like to be prepared for, like to get ready for the season?
Hey, here's the thing. You got to be honest with yourself. I always asked my players when I was coaching, give me an evaluation of your strengths and weaknesses offensively and defensively. Be honest with yourself. Put a list of what you feel you do well, what you feel you don't do well, and spend the majority of your time working on the things that you don't do well to get them so that you can take them to another level. Never be satisfied with what you're doing. Be honest with yourself and work on the talents and the skills to make yourself better in the areas that you're less proficient at. That's what you have to do. So if you're not shooting the 3-point shot really well, and that's part of what the game is today, obviously. I mean, today, if you're playing a wing player, you better be a 30-something% 3-point shooter. Otherwise, you're a liability to your team. So you should be going out there and just practice and get yourself to be, certainly, if you can get up to the mid-30s, I mean, that's awesome. Higher than that is even better. But if you can't shoot 30% or more from 3-point range, you got a major flaw in your game. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Rick. I appreciate you tuning in this week.
Yeah.
And I'll catch up with you following week.
All right, guys. Take care. Stay well.
Thanks,
And
Rick. Yep.
get everybody.
All right,
Thank
Rick.
you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thanks. All right, guys. I think it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. Straight.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to set him up with the Suns question.
Yeah.
I was trying to get him to talk about his relationship with ownership and like
Yeah, no, I hear you.
how I was trying to get him to hype up the Warriors. Like the great ownership, great, they're personable. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, his eyes lit up. He said, "Oh, we talking about that Sun
I was like,
situation."
nah. I was like, there's bad owners and then there's good owners. Talk about some good owners. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, even the free throws, I was talking about the guys that, aggressive attacking the basket. It was, more guys like, Harden and guys like that now that are kind of seeing those, where they were able to go and, add 8 to 10 points to their nightly average by shooting extra free throws. And
but
now
he's the free throw guy. You can't really you can't diss free throws.
His getting to the free throw was different,
Yeah.
his was not sitting at the 3-point line, pump faking guys 3-4 times
And
trying to
doing
get
the
them in
sweep
the air,
through just to get the
Yeah.
call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being starting to be aggressive, So
Then he shoot his free throws underhand.
Yeah,
Right.
he was
Yeah.
the guy who
Yeah.
did the granny shot.
Yeah.
and his son does it too now.
Yeah, Canyon. He's
Canyon does
overseas,
it
but
that
he
way
played
too,
in the
so.
summer league this year. I went to
yeah.
NBA summer league in Vegas. I seen Canyon play for the Wolves.
Yeah.
He's all right. He really is. He's just like, I don't know if the league is looking for him to come in at this time.
Yeah. Well, remember he told us that the first episode we had him on, he was saying, my son should be on an NBA roster.
He should be.
He
And I
said
mean,
he's good enough to be.
he did good in the summer league.
Yeah.
I'll give
Yep.
him that much. Just
Yep.
they gotta give him one of them 15-day contracts or something.
Yeah, give him an opportunity.
But if anything, I mean, hey, we'll try to get him on the zombies. You know?
Yeah.
Hey.
Seriously, we can keep him. We can keep a spot open.
Yeah, because I mean, he had a lot of kids that were in the NBA. There's John Barry, Brent
Yep.
Barry. I think he had another son or a daughter or something that played.
Yeah, there was a player, I think. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah, I remember
Canyon.
Brent was the athletic one, right? Brent.
yeah, Brent was.
Yeah, he's tough.
Yeah, Brent Barry. He was a tall dude too. I think John
Mhm.
Barry was the bald one.
Yeah, the bald
Mhm.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, just a whole bunch of hoopers.
Yeah, that's tough. He's set too. You just chill. Kids get him all the income. Sit
Mhm.
home and chill.
He does okay for himself.
Oh yeah, he
I know.
definitely does.
He does okay for himself.
Definitely.
For sure. And finished in the top 75 for the NBA. A few people got kicked out of it.
Man,
But
that's
I
no
don't
big
think-
deal. Because
yeah, I
he's
don't think
already in
he's
the
ever-
top 50, so that's no big deal.
Right? I know. He was like, I'm top 50. You know, 75
top
don't
50,
matter to
that's
me.
This 75 thing is nothing.
It was so funny how he swept it under the rug. He said 75. Talk
Yeah.
about a 50.
It's actually 76 too. They selected 76 instead of 75.
They did. Who was the extra add-on?
I forgot, but I think it was like old school player, I believe.
Mm.
They probably got some backlash because there were a lot of old school players that
Yeah.
people were talking about that should have been on that list.
I forgot to ask him about Clay because Clay had that whole 77 thing, and that would have been funny.
Oh yeah, we'll have to hold that one.
Yeah,
That'll be a good opening piece for the next one.
Yeah, maybe. I'll see if he talked to Clay about 77 yet, if he harassed him or something.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a hard time about it.
Yeah, I'd be like, yo,
Yeah.
you ain't make it. You ain't make the
Yeah.
cut. What happened?
All right, guys. Hey, I gotta get back into practice. I'm obviously sitting in my car now, my truck now, because I couldn't get the Wi-Fi, but I gotta jump back into practice. So,
Alrighty, cool.
all right, I'll talk to you, Cam. Thanks, Cam.
All
You'll
right,
send
see
that
you,
out
Coach.
like you usually do, right? The unedited one.
Yeah, I'll send it out.
Perfect,
All right,
man.
cool.
See you. All right,
All right.
Marcel. I'll talk to you, buddy.
All right, coach.
See you up later.
See ya.